you see, you're secured of a 6% return. I don't think people know about it. Why would anyone, right, knowing this, go and put in FD? Creating an efficient dynamic for where patient capital comes into the market, you're immediately driving innovation up. So broadly what we're looking at is we are using digital and technology as a means to reinvent the market and how it operates. My name is Naresh Abesekar and you're watching Market Insight.
Welcome to another episode of Market Insights Sri Lanka. As usual, we are here to discuss with prominent business leaders from around the country about everything you need to know about the capital markets. Don't forget to join us in this journey as we are providing you with some insightful information. And also don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell notification icon below to be in the loop and also to be notified in everything you need to know. Good governance is vital for any organization, institution, business entity, or even the country at large. Colombo Stock Exchange is not different. Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka is the governing body and the regulator for the Colombo Stock Exchange. It is very important to understand the perspective of the regulator to understand the dynamics of the market. And today we are privileged to have a Commissioner of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, Mr. Naresh Abesekar. Welcome to Market Insights.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So Naresh, to start off the conversation, let me ask you this question first. You are the chairman of the SEC CSE committee of the digitalization of the Colombo Stock Exchange. And to start off, tell us how all this started and what is the background for you to go for this initiative?
Yeah, sure, Dilusha. What happened was, I think as soon as we were appointed to the commission, sometime in February we all took office, and then 1 month later, or in March, COVID strikes, and then there's utter chaos in the country. And as you know, the market couldn't operate. So then what we did was we looked at every single touch point and identified that there are several manual touch points involved in the market, and also it doesn't allow us to operate a free and fair market for everyone, because there were certain areas under lockdown. Then you didn't have online account opening, and it's only a small segment that you could access, the market could access, because you didn't have the online accounts, the systems and all of that. So then what happened was the SEC chairman, the market was closed as you know, the SEC chairman, President's Counsel Viraj Dayaratna, decided to establish a joint committee, right, to lead the digitization, because we had the fear of another lockdown and various things. And then the joint committee was established between, so there are two commissioners. I lead the digitization, I chair the committee. Another commissioner, Manil Jayasinghe, and two other board members of CSE, Jayantha Fernando and Dilshan Veerasekara. And then the two teams, senior teams of SEC and CSC, combined form this committee to get the market operating. And so during that phase itself, we decided that we want to get online account opening done for the market, because we've as a commission felt that we anyway need to go out to all corners of Sri Lanka and grow the market. And though online account opening in Sri Lanka was seen as a huge challenge, we thought we'll take on this challenge, right, and engaged central bank, right, and looked at options of how we can bring in this online account opening. And then we came up jointly with this option of building an interface directly to the Department of Register of Persons, where your national ID card is automated and verified, right? So within a period of 3 months, we built this interface, right? We built this interface. If you take all the intermediaries, exchange, every party, eliminated all manual transactions or physical documentation, everything, and converted this exchange, right, including 26 brokers, into from non-operational status to full electronic trading, including online account creation, where for the first time in Sri Lanka, you have automated ID verification coming in, right? That's a DRP interface using robotics, right? And today that interface is, I think, changing the banking landscape as well. So it was pretty much brought into, the committee was pretty much created by SEC chairman to get the market operating, right, and to create a free and fair environment, which is also, the SEC Act also articulates. So that was the primary objective, and then I think this was one of the fastest and the most complex digital transformation probably anywhere in the region. I mean, I come from capital markets technology background. We created about 40 capital technology, 40 capital markets, regulated investment banks around the world. So this was a complex and fast implementation, and thereafter we decided to let the committee continue to take the market to a different level altogether in terms of digitization, and thereafter, so we took a break of about a week after first phase of digitization, September 2020, and then we commenced phase 2 and went ahead with the other activities. Anyway, there was spillovers from phase 1 that we couldn't do in phase 1, so we took on those, like the chatbots, the AI assistants and various things, and then we, I mean, it still continues, and we are progressing.
It's a continuous process.
It's a continuous process.
And Naresh, now, as you correctly mentioned, now this was a joint effort with CSE and SEC, and also the requirement for the digitalization must have came purely with the pandemic situation, but the objectives are far beyond the working remotely.
Yeah, I think there are certain aspects of it that we already wanted to create even before the pandemic, in terms of, let's say, online account creation and so on. But the pandemic really expedited it, right, and created the need for it, because you had to operate the market, right, electronically, risk-free, in a fair manner. So that was the immediate need. But now basically what we are looking at is we are developing market infrastructure basically to combine capital market technology with fintech to develop, I would say, next generation capital raising to capital distribution to market infrastructure is what we are looking at, right? And that will have various aspects of it. Investor engagement. Now, even if you take the mobile app, the CSE mobile app, it's Sri Lanka. It's, I think, the fastest growing mobile app at the moment in the country, right? So it over 65,000 downloads in less than 10 months, right? Which has given about 70% of CDS accounts increased it from where it was. So even if you look at September 2020, those September, October, November, December, those 4 months alone, or 3 months, 50% of 2020 account creation came from those 3 months, right? So today, 97% of all account creation are done digitally, right? And the time taken, right, from earlier, which was average 10 days, to as low as 1 day, right? And there are also performance matrices built into that whole equation. So broadly, what we are looking at is we are using digital and technology as a means to basically to reinvent the market and how it operates.
So as the chairman of this committee, you were the mastermind behind the process. And within 3 months, getting something like this done could have been not very easy if you didn't have the required qualifications or the experience. But I think you have the global experience and you have involved with the global markets. So tell us a little bit about your background as well, how you get this knowledge and how come you're so conversant about the process.
Uh, I pretty much was previously in a company that built the first ATS that CSC operates and CDS and technology that CSC operates, Millennium IT. I was Group CFO for Millennium IT and now known as LSEG Technology. And so I was also on the global leadership team of London Stock Exchange Group. So that exchange and being a finance guy, being in having a business in technology, and then basically quite intimate in capital market technology probably contributed to this. But then the teams also, I mean, it was a major team effort, right? Because there were strict deadlines, and week on week we monitored those deadlines. There were KPIs in place, and I think everyone was stressed, and we pretty much decided that 3 months is the timeline and no compromise where that is concerned, and drove those timelines. So the digitization committee pretty much, Dilosh, is run like a mini organization. You have a clear plan, clear roadmap in place, clear timelines, clear defined objectives, right? And week on week, basically, it's tracked and monitored, right? Including project risks, delays, technical issues, whatever, right? So I think it's a bit tough on the team also. When you have a finance guy who knows technology, it's a bit, probably a bit challenging for them
but
also.
At the same time, that's what required as well to
so you're very,
make it
when
a
you're
success.
in finance, you're quite objective driven, numbers driven, KPI driven, and then when you can give a technology solution also, then I suppose it drives the process a bit faster.
Okay. So thank you, Naresh, and we'll go for a quick break and we will be right back. Welcome back to Market Inside Sri Lanka, and today we are in the conversation with Mr. Naresh Abesekara, the Commissioner of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. Naresh, now as you correctly touched upon before the break as well, the phase 1 of the digitalization process, you gave us few statistics. So if you can explain and elaborate a little bit further, how successful is the phase 1 and what were the things that we have already achieved through the phase 1 of the digitalization?
Yes, Dilusha, definitely. So phase 1, we basically targeted a mobile first quadruple play strategy, as I told before. So why mobile first is because you see, everyone today has all the information in the palm of the hand. So we want to bring all stock trading information with its market data, research reports, listed company, press releases, macro videos, everything into the palm of the hand. So it was created from scratch, this mobile app, right? So today it has 65,000, right, active accounts. And so we brought it to the palm of the hand where wherever the investor is in the world, right, with even it's a listed company press release, today he gets it. Right? So now we've eliminated this geographical boundaries. It can be a foreign, someone living in another country or in Sri Lanka, he gets the information, right? So when I say quadruple play, right, you have all the content in voice, video, right, voice assistance, AI form, right, as well as article form, right, which is visual, right? So the 4 V's, right, we basically, so whether he wants to today with the AI assistant that we have, which integrates into Siri and Google Assistant, he is traveling the car. He says, "Okay, Siri, give me, let me know how the market performed." He's traveling in the car, and he basically gets this information while he's traveling, right? And we know people have very little time, so we have the video content. Now, even if you're a brokerage, you can put your research reports in video form, right? It's all on the app. So the app was created, right? The app also has online account opening, so he can create the account, look at the information, everything basically in the palm of the hand, right? When it came to the exchange, the brokerages, statements, to contract notes, to whatever, right, was fully eliminated, right? So at the background to do all this, we had to get digital signatures, a lot of rule changes. Then basically even we started off by collecting, our starting point was this market didn't have the mobile numbers, email addresses and the bank account numbers
Of the investors.
of the investor. So you see, our very first 3 months, our biggest challenge was collecting the mobile number, the email address and the bank account numbers, right? So much so that we also brought in certain changes saying, okay, if you give your bank account, you'll get your dividends in 2 days, right? So through this whole process, you have faster dividend payments coming. Then we'll change now you can have electronic annual reports, right? So if you go through the app, through app notifications, whatever the notification up to the PDF of that listed company, that this information they send, you can view it, right? Annual reports can be viewed on the app, right? So every single information that the investor wants is today in the palm of his hand, right? Which drove basically, as I told you, 58 to 60% market activity. If you look at the active accounts, there's 60% increase in active accounts. Account creation increased by, new account creation increased by 70%.
With the digitalization.
With the digitization, right? And even if you take 2020, from after launch, from 17 September to December, 50% of all new accounts created in 2020 came after digitalization. So that itself tells the story. Out of all the new accounts created, 97% today is created online, digitally, right? So it's a fully fledged digital onboarding process, very first in Sri Lanka, right? And the interesting part is, if you look at the people who have created the accounts, out of this new account, 83%, right? Also over 80% is less than the age of 40. So you have a new generation, you have a millennial new generation of investors, right, coming through this digital means, right, and we are giving them all the tools and everything that they need to basically learn this process. So when it came to learning, we also developed the YouTube channel to engage with them, tell them the do's and don'ts. SEC itself has their own YouTube channel to basically create independent content, and Twitter and all of that was created to engage investors, to tell them basically how to trade, what to do, what not to do, how to basically draw investment plan, whatever. So the education process also runs separately, right? And if you look at the entire ecosystem, what we developed, our entire growth strategy was based on creating an app rich with content, right? When you say content, anyone can download. If he wants to get daily exchange rates, to read business news today, he can use the app. So once he downloads it, digitally we convert him basically to CDS account holder, right? So it's a content rich strategy that we followed, that we're using digital techniques basically to then educate him and get him basically into the fold of the capital market.
Okay. And Naresh, in this process now, earlier we used to get the annual reports through CDs, and also for the listed companies also it was a major expense. And so the digitalization process is not only beneficial for the investors, but all the parties involved, like the companies, the investor, Colombo Stock Exchange, and also the regulator. So all these parties are getting benefited. So how these parties are getting benefited?
Yeah, so if you take the listed company, right, today if the listed company wants to engage with any investor, it's a click of a button for him. If he wants to send the annual report to all the investors, right, it's about sending it to CSC distributing it through the app, right? What we want to also create in this process was, in Sri Lanka, we pretty much need to enhance our investor relations function. How do you engage investors? How do you, from a listed company perspective, you see, listed company also needs to do certain activities, and they need to give the right information to the investor, right content, tell them how their company is performing. Now, even if you go to the app and go to the listed company tab, you will see, under that tab, you will see all their press releases. So even if it's a foreign investor who's coming to Sri Lanka who doesn't know about this company, right? Now we pretty much have world-class companies in Sri Lanka, but you see, he wouldn't know what this company is unless you show him a video of it. So even the corporate videos can be put on this app. So if any investor goes to the go to stock market activity on the app and then selects a stock and goes into that stocks page, you'll see the press releases, video content, announcements, notifications, right? Financial information, everything, right? Within minutes. And the best part is, if let's say you have world-class factory or whatever, right? Today, you can put your corporate video, put your CEO interviews, whatever, so that investor sees a history, right? Can visually see and engage with that entity, right? So that literally means that we are giving the platform for these entities to market themselves also with investors, right? But sadly, if you look at the app, basically very few listed companies are putting their corporate videos, putting their CEO interviews, whatever. And that is one of the reasons we started, that is also initiated by Digitization Committee, StockPulse. So StockPulse is also, we created the digital content from scratch where listed company CEOs are interviewed, right, and that's on the app. Right.
So that engagement from the companies is still at a lower level, even though the platform provides them the ability to do.
The Ferrari has been created, but still, I mean, how you're using it is still not like a Ferrari. Okay. So there should be more. The listed companies need to basically put their content, right? There's a role that they also need to play, where they put their video content, put their corporate videos, showcase their companies to investors, right? Because otherwise it's only a name that they see, right?
So they have to do their part as well. They have to do their
part as well, and that foreign investor relations element needs to come in, and we've enhanced that process by creating the digital platforms for investor relations, investor engagement.
Okay. And Naresh, about the DVP implementation, the delivery versus payment, that was also a part of this digitalization, and also I think to get the foreign investors to facilitate them more or less. And also there was a delay in the implementation, as well as when we announced about the DVP implementation, we saw that Colombo Stock Exchange went ahead and they took prompt action to explain what are the changes going to happen without making the investors to dwell on it too much. And that was a great initiative. However, there are still some speculation about this process. What can you tell us about DVP?
The DVP was not actually part of the digitization committee initiatives. It was anyway in the cards of CSC for a long time, right? I forget exactly how many years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years probably.
More than that, I guess, yes.
Probably more than that. Yeah. CSC already had plans to basically look at DVP, but the way I see it in a very, very simplified sense would be, you see, if you're driving a car, right, you now made the airbags and the seat belts in the car, right, which gives protection.
Correct.
Right. So literally, the way you drive the car hasn't changed. Nothing has changed for the investor. Nothing has changed for anyone, right? But you added the airbags and the seat belt, right? So anyone who understands what an airbag and seat belt would do will be safer in the car, right? So that is what the DVP is about, right? And even if you look at if you order something online, right, 80% of all online transactions, the guy delivers it to the house, you take the item and give him the cash, right? So your risk basically is minimized.
Once you get the items only, you pay.
So that's the same thing that happens with DVP. So nothing has changed for anyone. It's just that you're securing the investor, right? And also you're getting your basics. You're putting your basic house in order to move in from a frontier market to emerging market, right? Because these are basic things that foreign investors look at, right? And I think it's great that we now have it in place. I hope I articulated it correctly.
Yes, that's very clear. It's like as long as the investors, for them nothing changed.
Nothing has changed basically.
It's the way
safety. Like the example of the car, the way you drive the car hasn't changed.
Thank you, Naresh, and we'll go for a quick break and we will be right back. Welcome back to Market Inside Sri Lanka. We are having the conversation with Mr. Naresh Abeysekara, the Commissioner of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. And Naresh, tell us a little bit about phase 2. It's halfway through getting the implementation of the digitalization phase 2.
Yeah.
What we can expect?
So phase 2 actually, Diluksha was launched, His Excellency President launched it about 2 weeks back.
Correct.
Right, and phase 2 brought in a series of new functionality, again to engage the investor, connect with the investor better. Right, where CS eConnect was brought in. So now you can connect basically to your CDS account, look at your portfolio and all of that, change your information. Let's say with eConnect you can, let's say you want to change your bank account numbers, email addresses, whatever, right, can be done directly by the investor. Earlier they had to visit the stockbroker, fill a bunch of forms basically and then do the process. Now that's eliminated. Right, then we created Investor. Right, I mean Investor is something I'm very passionate about. Investor is a AI assistant. Right, that AI assistant basically will answer any questions you have on the market, right, which will eventually evolve into a national AI assistant. Whether you want to create a company, how to create a company, how to invest, how to open IIA account, whatever you want, budget information, tax concessions, whatever, it will evolve into any information you can ask investor. So investor has a logo, investor has a face. If you go into the app, right, investor has a lot of AI again was used to basically construct the face of investor, right, and investor's main role is in all 3 languages, right, say Sinhalese, English, Tamil, whatever the language that investor speaks, can ask investor on what to do. So investor was launched, a digital assistant, right. Then also the voice integration with Siri and Alexa was with Siri and Google Assistant was done. So you want to know about how the market is performing, how your eventually you'll at the moment how the market is performing, top gainers, all of that. Eventually how your portfolio is performing, how your favorites are performing, everything you can ask basically is while driving in the car you can ask Siri or Google Assistant, right? You can configure it with your own shortcuts, right? Saying okay, give me market updates and they'll give you the market updates. So we also created eIPOs. So today, wherever you are in the world, if you want to subscribe for IPO, it's in the palm of your hand, right? So you have eIPO, all these secure with biometric. You show your face and you can get in, right? Then more content was added to the platforms. Literally, those are the main elements that were introduced with phase 2. And then we brought in the online company account creation as well.
CDS right? Account opening.
Yeah, so companies also, so there also interface was directly built to the register of companies, where now you can go online and create a company account, CDS account basically 100% online. There's no visiting anyone involved.
Right? Earlier we had about 20 or 30 documents to be filled for a company account opening, but now it can be done online.
Yeah, so it's about simplification of all processes, even from the IPO process to whatever has been relooked at, right, and simplified basically, make it speedier, more efficient, more interactive, right, and to create faster process there.
And Naresh, what about the new products? Is it only shares or what else will be in the cards in the future for this?
I think in the next few months there'll be, I mean, you'll create a corporate debt market, OTC corporate debt market coming in. You'll have the gold products coming in. You'll have peer-to-peer lending coming in, right, with phase 3. Crowdfunding, right, so with peer-to-peer lending and crowdfunding, even if somebody wants to put a project in place and they want to raise 1,000 rupees each from everyone, right, you can do that now. If there's a public listed company basically that wants to borrow money, right, and they come through a peer-to-peer lending platform, rather than putting in your savings account, you can basically now put your 1,000 rupees to and get a better rate from the corporate debt market. right? Then there'll be things like green bonds and products like that that'll come into the market. So literally what we are trying to do is we are trying to build the market infrastructure to drive a capital market based economy, right, which will soon evolve, let's say with even REITs coming in. We launched the REITs framework, I think early sometime back. So even the REITs property, right, even if you have a property which is broken up like units, right, even if it's overseas investor to the digital platforms, he can electronically based subscribe to it, right, which I will articulate more in phase 3, because for phase 3 what it does, it creates a single digital interface for the capital market, right, which will connect all these things, and where we can even go into multiple sectors, basically even agriculture, even farmers, whatever, right, connecting it with each sector. But overall the entire market infrastructure has been developed for capital raising and distribution to be very efficient. So even the IPO time might come down to 1 day, right, which is the target. You might have 1 day IPOs, right, because the reconciliation process gets very easy. You're subscribing for it digitally, and it goes to company as a digital, so it's centralized and reconciled.
It takes away that lead time and
lead time, very accurate, right?
Okay. And also, Naresh, in that case, if I may ask you about the crypto, is it possible for Sri Lankan investors to invest in the cryptocurrencies through stock exchange somewhere in the future?
With the new SEC Act coming in, Dilusha, we brought in digital asset classes, crypto, blockchain, all of that into the regulation. So the regulation that we built with the new SEC Act identifies those, right? But it depends on what is on a need basis. Drive the economy, where the money should flow, what products need to be formed, right? But definitely digital asset classes are on the cards, right? Because what we also need to bear in mind is the fact that today capital markets are also changing, right? Because now in other countries you're driving, I mean you're approaching intellectual capitalism, right? So when we look at intellectual capitalism, it can be your intellectual design that basically trades on exchange. It can be a music that trades on exchange. It can be something else, right? So this all works with the distributed ledger technology coming into place, right, where the authenticity of that asset basically can be easily tracked, right?
With the blockchain.
Yeah, but what matters is immediately what we need to solve is, right, how do companies come to the capital market, raise capital to the capital market, and then participate in it. So that is the need of the hour, right? Because as much as overseas, if you look at the companies, even if it's a startup, first thing what they want to do is, okay, list the company, right? Because the brand value goes up, equity value goes up, valuations go up, he knows what is, governance comes in, right, discipline comes in, all of that. So that element of benefits is well known in overseas markets, and their number one choice would be capital markets, right, for capital raising. So first we want to build the market infrastructure, the environment, the knowledge base, and the investor mindset and the entrepreneur mindset, right, to basically take the capital market to that level, which we had various programs. I mean, SEC also spoke to the SEC, had certain programs to get all the CFOs. We spoke to them, told them the benefits of capital raising, how patient capital being infused to the market, creating an efficient dynamic for where patient capital comes into the market, you're immediately driving innovation up, right? And the SME sector, in my view, is, which I think is about 51% of 50% plus from employment to everything. It is a catalyst, because you see, that's where innovation is. So you need to get them into this capital market to drive growth and innovation.
Okay. And Naresh, what is phase 3? Is there a phase 3, or what is
there definitely the phase 3. So
okay,
we will be starting probably phase 3 discussions next week. So phase 3 is creating a single interface, a wallet, right, where somebody can download it, right, where you can first digitally market it, right. Let's say any of the brokering houses to investment banks can digitally market, let's say, to Japan, targeting investors like you do your digital marketing campaign. They can download it from company creation to IIA account creation to any account creation for any intermediary, including CDS account, can be done digitally, right? And you're not going to enter your name 10 times. Do that. You will enter it once, and it will work on a shared KYC process, right? And that will also link into a national investor management system, right? So once you enter the information once, you will know nationally who your investors are, how they are growing, whatever. So that will build the structures for you to regionally manage them, country-wise manage them, right? And that entire design structure will come into place, right? So literally to the wallet will be a single digital window, right, connecting to the ATM machines, right? Like even if your investor comes to Sri Lanka and he comes to the airport, and there might be a special QR code where he clicks, and the app will identify that this is a investor and say, okay, welcome to Sri Lanka, and then he'll have a special channel. So that's the mindset that we have, right, to create that CDS account, not merely as a stock trading account, but as a passport to entry to a lot of elements and to uplift the status of the overall CDS account in the capital market.
That sounds very futuristic. And Naresh, if I take your attention a little bit away from the digitalization and towards the market acceptance of the general public. Now, if we look at a lot of people would prefer the fixed deposit still at 4% to 5% rate return, whereas in the capital markets there are certain companies that would give a dividend yield of probably about 6 to 8% minimum. So why we don't have this culture of general public investing in the stock market and still they prefer this lower return of investment?
I think to me, I would come back, I will move away from my technology hat that I wear and come more into a ex-CFO hat and a chartered accountant hat. As a chartered accountant and an ex-CFO, right, or a FTSE 100 listed entity, I can tell you that number one, you're losing the plot by using the word dividend yield, right? For the simple reason that, you see, when you say it's actually dividend is actually a profit share of that entity. You just mentioned 6%. So if you're getting a profit share of a listed entity, right, which could be a bank, which could be one of the top listed companies, right, S&P 20 or whatever, you see, you're secured of a 6% return. I don't think people know about it. Anything over that 6% is a capital gain, right? And why would anyone want to go and put, I think FD rates now are very low, right? I mean 3, 4, 5% FD rates, right? If you take the annual FD rates, why would anyone, right, knowing this, go and put in FD? I think we need to simplify the whole process, right? Number one, simplify, not make finance and investing very complicated, right? So that you reach far and wide in order to create a strong market and create a strong retail driven market. So that is important, and I think that's where the broker community and everyone needs to come into play in order to simplify this equation. You see, touch base with everyone, go to the provinces, go to the people, educate them, talk to them, tell them that, okay, you invest in the end, you get a profit share, right? It's a very strong value proposition. So I think that needs to come into play. From a pure regulatory point of view, we've identified this and we are launching a capital market subject, which will incorporate investing, savings, how to invest, various things at an early age. Because what the commission chairman and the commission felt was we as Sri Lanka don't have the investment mindset, right? We don't, whether it's a property asset class or whatever. Now, even if you look at a property, that's a REITs as well. REITs is property, right? Your investments double or triple in 3 to 5 years, right? If you invest in a property, but they don't take that stance, right? So, in order from a very young age to teach children investing, what investing is about, how to basically make your money grow faster is something that we need to teach them, and that's the next. I think with the next syllabus change, which is coming in 2023 at the earliest, this subject will be introduced so that you're actually teaching them capital markets and all of this. That will come into play. But apart from that, we've also running 2 streams of marketing. One is digital education, right? So apart from the YouTube channels and everything being created, you're on a 12-month view, 12 to 24-month view, right? We've selected one party, and that party will run it for 12 months to purely on education, investing, right? How do you take a long-term view? How do you understand the stock? How do you understand, read research reports, right? So then the video content for researchers brought in to engage the investor, right? Simplify it, tell him, okay, this company is like this, right? He sees a video of the company, whatever, right? So all that has been brought in, but it's a huge market there, because the capital market can give someone much higher returns, right, than if they invest properly and wisely, right, and follow the proper safeguards in investing, right, then it's a very good value proposition. Because the simple truth is, Dilusha, if you take any of the Forbes billionaires in the world, right, their net worth is held in equity. Right now, if all the billionaires in the world hold their assets in equity, right, then you see, you have that's your strongest selling proposition, right? And it's like a company is like a kid growing. You look at the management, look at whatever, and you take a 10-year view. You see that this company will grow faster. Your asset value is going to grow. Your valuations are going to grow, right? So people need to understand the depths of it, take their own view, right? But anything becomes a risk, right? You see, even riding a bicycle becomes a risk if you don't know to ride the bicycle. The person who knows to ride the bicycle can jump off a cliff and land properly, right, and not get injured because he knows the techniques, right? But if you don't know the techniques, and if you don't have your own justifications why you're buying this, why you're investing, then you're going to get hurt in the process. So identify this is why we are building the education channels and platforms and all of that, and that we are literally trying to touch all corners of Sri Lanka and reach far and wide and create this mindset.
That's some great points to ponder upon. So thank you, Naresh, and we will take a quick break and we will be right back. Welcome back to Market Inside Sri Lanka. We are with Mr. Naresh Abeysekara, the Commissioner of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. Naresh, now if I may take your attention a little bit to the foreign investors' perspective. Now in the recent rally, they were the elusive category, and they were not only the net sellers, but they're kind of moving out of the market. And what is your view on that, and can we survive without foreign investors, or do we need to get them back?
They will definitely come. My view is they'll definitely come back. If you look at the market dynamics, right, today probably we have about a 3.4 trillion market cap, which is the highest we've ever seen, right, if I'm not mistaken. At least in the last 10 years, we've seen the highest market cap in history. If you look at the market daily turnover average, right, we are over 3 to 4 billion, right, which is probably the highest in terms of market turnover, right. You look at price to book values, you are the lowest, which gives very good valuations, right? You look at the regional exchanges, look at Philippines, Bangladesh, wherever, right? The SBI has given a 54% or so return, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? So our region probably is below India, which has given a 64% return, and Vietnam marginally. I think Vietnam probably is at a slightly higher than Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka has given a very good return, and today I think is one of the best performing markets, and I believe we came in Bloomberg as well as one of the best performing markets, right? So the market dynamics are very good, right? If you look at the company performances, right, we've seen a lot of listed companies, right, having their best results in history, right? Personally, if I articulate this strategy in different dimensions, we are seeing a scenario where we are producing a lot of things locally ourselves. If I put that into perspective, what we've been through as a capital market technology provider in my previous company, or even now as an entrepreneur, right? You see, we were given the chance, starting from the CSC, to develop capital market technology. So we were given that opportunity to develop that technology, right, 20 years back. Today, right, that competency has transformed into being the world's #1 capital market technology provider, right? Developing, even the Sri Lankans developing the fastest trading platform in the world, right? So I personally believe, I mean, having recruited people from the same university, same education system, something has worked. Not having a sophisticated capital market in your home country, but going on to develop for the biggest markets, something has worked. That means our guys have brains, right? So it's about the leadership of these entities, the public listed companies, everyone around, right? If one company can do it, the rest of them can, right? To harness this competency, grow this competence, and create world-class entities and go out to the market. And the capital market will always support for capital raising and acquisition. I mean, there's nothing preventing, I mean, for them to be able to raise capital and go for acquisitions overseas, or develop that competence and export, right? Right, because I mean, if there's a company that creates technology capital market, that's the, you see, if when we probably take a capital market and migrate to a system, if you miss a millisecond of operability, you're in international headlines. That's the risk you cover, right? So if you can do that, right, all the manufacturing entities to whatever basically can easily adapt, right? So what I feel is the fact that the company results are a testament, right, of the potential of our enterprises. Now what we need to do is showcase it. I personally feel we are bad marketers as a country. We need to market what we have. Our listed entities need to go out there and market. Now the example that I told you, like in the app alone, you don't have corporate videos, right? And some of us week on week need to run behind the scene how many corporate videos have been uploaded, right? There's nothing, you see, there's a problem there. So our listed entities also, right, need to basically showcase that. But the strategy on a digital perspective, what we are also adopting is, with the wallet coming in, right, you're also not opening the market to the funds. Now you're simplifying the process with a single click to download the wallet and invest. You're opening the market that can be digitally marketed by any broker. So you have 26x their marketing budgets to any country that they target, right, and targeting a retail investor base. It can be Sri Lankan expats, it can be whoever, right? Because the value proposition also what we have is the fact that if it's a Sri Lankan expat, he can keep his dollars in Sri Lanka. He knows that if it's a state bank or if it's a bank, that he has confidence over the system, right? So now what we are doing is creating that market infrastructure, right, to go behind these mid-cap, mid-network individual investors.
Even the foreign countries.
Even foreign countries. So you're digitally marketing it. You click a button basically, and you have basically your you can invest in Sri Lanka.
So the foreign investor onboarding also can be done.
Foreign investor onboarding, everything basically with a single digital interface will be done, right? And even the current mobile app, right, has performance criteria built into the system, which we spoke to the brokering community also and got the agreement where it's weighted based on the number of accounts you create and your response times. So in the drop down menu, your name doesn't just appear, right? If you really hit high response times, fast account creation, and you create a lot of accounts, your name is on top, right? And that is every 3 months that is revised. So first 3 months you see everyone needs to get their act together. Everyone needs to drive the Ferrari faster.
So what's your advice for the listed companies and the stockbroking companies? What actions they should take?
No, I think the the brokers need to we have created a platform for them to really grow the market out there, right? And it's a huge market out there, right? So the content need to be simplified. The content can be put in multiple dimensions that engages, interacts with the investor, right? The listed companies, we have created the platform for them to disseminate their information digitally. Say it's annual reports, whether it's the annual report can be in video form or whatever, right, that they want to put in that app, it's there today, right? But they need to take stride and basically lead that whole process as well. But we are creating the Ferrari. Now we need the drivers.
Okay. And also, Naresh, as you correctly touched upon, with this digitalization, we are seeing a new generation of investors coming in. And with that, we are also seeing this, there are so many YouTube channels and sometimes TV programs, and there are a lot of social media engagements and media engagement with investors and probably the individuals who are keen on the subject coming and giving advice and giving them insight about the stock market and the stocks, and there's a lot of conversation. But what is your view on that? Can we trust them, or will that be helpful, or that needs to be regulated, or what is your take on these initiatives?
Yeah, I think the investors need to always trust the legitimate channels. That's why the brokering community also is very important. Where they need to, I mean, if everyone has a CDS account, that means they work with the broker. Right? So the brokering community needs to maintain that relationship with and put out that content in a simplified manner that engages the investor, and their content and whatever information that disseminates should be above and better than anybody else, right? And you can't help a YouTuber basically being able to govern a higher influence than a broker. The brokering community has the capacity, the knowledge base, the qualifications, insight base will manage that, right? But as a regulator, we are also basically, we run our own YouTube to Twitter to whatever, educate the investors on what to do, what not to do. I mean, if you go to the SEC awareness Facebook pages and all, you see the content which is regularly put in place. So that is being done, but it's up to the investor to read the right reports, the right channels basically, and take their own investment decisions.
Okay, and Naresh, what would be your advice to the general public when it comes to capital markets? Do you think they should look into investing in the capital market, and if you think so, why?
I think overall the general public need to maintain investment mindset. They need to study anything, right? Whatever you do, if you study it in depth, go into the depth of it, basically you get things right. If you don't study in depth and just put your hands into it, your hands get burnt. Whatever it is, it can be basically running a business, it can be basically developing a technology, it can be whatever it is, right? You work with knowledge, right, you get it right. If you don't work with knowledge and understanding, right, then you get it wrong. So all we can do is create the platforms, create the content, right, and give it to them, for them to use it and learn, which we are doing.
And also, what would be your advice for the companies who are looking into looking into getting a listing in the Colombo Stock Exchange in the future?
Yeah, so companies, I think, as I told you previously, there comes a point, right, for any entity. You see, you go to the banks, right, and you leverage yourself up to, let's say, 50% or whatever, right. You can't get growth. See, if you go for more debt and you try to get growth through debt, your risk, financial leverage goes up in terms of your interest cost to whatever, right. So how the dynamics work in capital market is, you have patient permanent capital coming into the system, where you don't have to pay interest, don't have to pay banks regularly, and if you get your entity right, you give them that dividends, right, and the valuations go up, right. So this balance, the market listed companies, especially the SMEs, need to understand, right, what is that sweet spot between capital and debt that doesn't put their entity at risk, right. As well as, by coming into the market, you see, you have never seen an entity that has come into the market, most of the entities has grown, because they get their financial discipline in place, they put their processes in place, they get their accounts in order, right, better quality people come on board, right, when you're a listed entity, better recognition comes to the enterprise, right, your customer base improves. So by coming into the capital market and that ecosystem, right, now there are tax concessions, right, that the government has given. So there are a lot of positives, right, to take your entity to a different level, right. So the entities need to understand it, come to the market, raise capital, and grow faster. So that's what you see in a lot of foreign countries, right, where the number one preference for capital raising becomes equity market.
Correct.
Right, and their valuations skyrocket.
Yes.
Right, so that is their brand value skyrocket, their valuation skyrocket, right, and the entity's perpetuity is guaranteed, right. So that is what they need to bear in mind.
So as I understand now, SCC and CSE, they are more of keeping the structure and everything ready, and the infrastructure is already there, and now it's a matter of getting all these parties together and driving towards the future.
But we've seen a lot of IPOs. I mean, in the last few months, we've seen about, I think, the market saw the first SME listing. Correct. on the very first the Empower board listing came into place. Then you've seen about raised about 7.5 billion, I think, in equity, right. So and there are a lot of other entities, right, lined up for IPO. So it's looking positive. So this is important to enhance the breadth and depth of the market, right, and everyone, I mean, needs to play their part in convincing, educating, and bringing the value dynamics that the market offers, right, to every single entity in this country, right. But we, as from a joint committee in terms of digitization or from a regulatory perspective, we will create innovative market infrastructure to touch every little segment, right. We will look at even the farmers, to how we can basically bring capital raising into every single segment, SMEs, farmers, to whatever. It's easier said than done, but wallet mechanisms to whatever crowdfunding to mechanisms lays the strong foundation, right, to create that broader ecosystem, right, to raise capital for us, disseminate it, and even for the investor to get a share of it, right, and increase speed to drive that capital market based economy.
Great. So thank you so much, Naresh, for sharing your great insight with us.
Thanks.
And also with the conversation, what I understood is you touched upon and you highlighted so many things that the companies and the investors has to ponder upon. And there are many things that we have discussed and explained that they have to think and about to work in the future. And thank you so much for bringing that insight to us. And thank you very much for watching Market Insight, and we will be meeting you soon with another exciting episode. And until then, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me here as well.
Thank you, Naresh.